"Ma'am, you're too big for this seat. You'll have to leave." The words cut through the cabin, sharp and humiliating. Passengers turned, whispering, some smirking. The flight attendant stood tall, arms crossed, certain she held all the power. And the woman she targeted? Just another face in the crowd, dismissed without a second thought. But what no one on that plane realized was that in less than 10 minutes, this ordinary passenger would make one call that cost the airline over $1 billion. Have you ever been judged before they even knew who you were? Tell us in the comments. It was supposed to be just another business trip. Jordan Matthews, a black woman in her early 40s, had built her life on resilience, intelligence, and an unstoppable drive. As the CEO of a multinational tech firm, she was no stranger to high-pressure meetings, long flights, and the constant demands of leadership. But beyond the boardrooms and billion-dollar contracts, Jordan was still a woman who craved simplicity. Quiet moments with her family, evenings when she could set aside the weight of responsibility and just be herself. This trip was different, though. She wasn't traveling for leisure or even for herself. She was headed to finalize one of the biggest partnerships her company had ever secured, a deal that would change not just her business, but the future of her employees and communities around the world. The stakes were higher than ever, but Jordan carried it with grace. To the world, she was a powerhouse. But here, stepping onto that plane, she was just another traveler. The airport buzzed with its usual chaos, rolling suitcases, echoing announcements, and tired families huddled near charging stations. Jordan kept her composure, moving with quiet confidence. She had flown countless times before. It was routine by now. Her assistant had secured her a first-class ticket, ensuring she'd have the comfort and space to prepare for the intense negotiations ahead. Nothing about this day felt unusual, at least not yet. Still, in moments like this, Jordan was reminded of something she never quite escaped, how quickly her skin color, her body, or simply her presence could shift the way people treated her. But she brushed it aside, focusing instead on her notes, her strategy, her goals. After all, she wasn't just traveling as Jordan Matthews, the woman. She was traveling as Jordan Matthews, the CEO, the leader, the decision-maker with the power to change industries. What Jordan didn't know was that the flight she was about to board would test her in ways no contract negotiation ever could. And the humiliation waiting for her just beyond the cabin door would set off a chain of events no one on that plane could have imagined. If you were in Jordan's shoes, calm and prepared, only to be judged before even sitting down, what would you do? Before we continue, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Jordan stepped into the first-class cabin, her boarding pass in hand, her mind already racing with the details of the deal she was flying to secure. She moved gracefully, tucking her leather bag against her side, her heels clicking softly against the aisle floor. Her seat was near the window, a quiet corner where she could review her notes and mentally prepare. But before she could settle in, the sharp voice of a flight attendant sliced through the air. "Excuse me, ma'am, this seat isn't suitable for you." Jordan froze, her hand resting on the headrest. She looked around, confused. Other passengers glanced up, curious but silent, as though waiting to see a show. The attendant's expression was flat, almost bored, but her words carried a sting that made Jordan's stomach tighten. "You're too big for this seat. It won't be comfortable. We'll have to move you," she added, her tone dripping with condescension. For a moment, Jordan couldn't move. She wasn't a stranger to microaggressions, but the blatant humiliation, the casual cruelty, hit harder than she expected. She was tall, yes, curvy and strong, but she had never once struggled to fit in a seat. This wasn't about comfort. This was about judgment. And the worst part? Every eye in that cabin was on her, some passengers smirking, others whispering, no one speaking up. Jordan forced herself to stand straighter, to breathe. Years of corporate battles had trained her to mask her emotions, but beneath the surface, a fire stirred. She didn't argue, not yet. She wanted to see just how far this attendant would go. The woman gestured toward the back of the plane. "We'll need to reseat you in economy. That's the only option." The audacity hit like a slap. A first class passenger, holding a paid ticket, being told to move to the back, not because of availability, but because of who she was and how she looked. Jordan could feel the injustice pressing down, heavy and suffocating. Still, she remained calm. Her silence more powerful than any outburst could be. She walked slowly, deliberately, toward the attendant's station, her mind racing. Did this woman really think she could strip her of dignity so easily? That she could push her aside and no one would notice? Jordan's heart pounded, not with shame, but with resolve. She had spent her life being underestimated, dismissed, told she didn't belong, and every time she had proven them wrong. This would be no different. Behind her, whispers continued. One man muttered something under his breath, shaking his head. Another woman chuckled softly, pulling out her phone as if ready to record. The humiliation was public, sharp, unforgettable. But what no one knew, what not even the flight attendant knew, was that Jordan Matthews was not a powerless passenger. She was the key decision-maker in a billion-dollar deal that directly involved the airline itself. And with one call, she could undo everything they had worked for. The cabin buzzed with quiet tension. Jordan lowered herself into a temporary seat. In economy, her mind no longer on her notes or the contract. This had become personal, and she was about to remind them exactly who they had just tried to humiliate. Would you have stayed quiet in her place or spoken up right then and there? The plane hummed as it leveled in the sky, but inside Jordan, the storm only grew louder. Every second in that cramped seat felt like a reminder. This wasn't about comfort. It was about dignity stolen in front of strangers. The flight attendant walked past her aisle more than once, smug, as if she had put Jordan in her place. Each time Jordan's resolve sharpened, Jordan opened her phone, her fingers steady though her heart raced. With a swipe, she pulled up her contacts and tapped a number. Most people would never dare to dial mid-flight. The call connected instantly, her voice calm but clipped. She didn't need to explain everything. Just one sentence, one order, $1 billion shifting direction. Up in the first-class cabin, the same attendant laughed softly with a colleague, unaware of the tidal wave about to crash down. Passengers nearby stole glances at Jordan, some curious, others indifferent. No, one realizing history was being rewritten in silence. Minutes ticked by. The humiliation of being moved had stung, but now it was being replaced by something else, control. Jordan had turned the very insult meant to break her into the fuel that set everything in motion. She knew the weight of her power, and she had just unleashed it. The pilot's voice crackled over the intercom, announcing turbulence ahead, but for Jordan, the real turbulence was still coming, except this time, it wasn't hers to endure. It was theirs. The airlines, the attendants, the people who thought they could strip her of dignity without consequence. By the time the plane touched down, decisions had already been made in boardrooms she didn't even need to walk into. Contracts frozen, deals canceled. A billion-dollar opportunity evaporated because of a single moment of arrogance at 30,000 feet. The irony? The woman who had been treated as too big for her seat had just become the reason the airline's future suddenly felt very, very small. What do you think happened when that flight attendant learned who Jordan really was? Tell us in the comments, because the fallout was only beginning. When Jordan walked off the plane, she seemed composed, but inside she carried the truth of how quickly dignity can be taken for something as simple as body shape or skin color. Within hours, the impact was felt far beyond the terminal. The airline's billion-dollar partnership collapsed, boardrooms buzzed with panic, and executives scrambled to repair the damage. The attendant's routine correction had turned into the moment that defined her career, her authority unraveling into public shame. For Jordan, the victory was never about revenge. It was about showing that the people so often underestimated or humiliated can, in fact, hold the greatest power. And when that power is used, it forces the world to listen.